What's up, SFL Nation, and welcome back to SFL Nights with AJ Striker. Thank you so much for joining me today or tonight or whenever you decided to hit that play button or turn on that radio dial. Really appreciate it, y'all. And look who I have here, Mr. Michael Percoco from the Vancouver Legion. How are you?
I'm good, AJ. Thank you for having me. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic, man. Thankful for you being here.
Yeah, especially on a week when basically nobody watched any games because it was Easter.
Right. And listen, you got a whole family, you got all the children, everybody over there. I'm surprised it's quiet right now.
Yeah, well, I send them away during work hours. They're not allowed around me. So
that explains it.
and they know it's AJ time.
Well, thanks again for being my co-host for this week. We have some fantastic games to go over. I also have my fourth and goal interview with Mr. Cory Chief Mennor, DeAndre Washington, aka Terrell Sutherland. I also have Mr. Juice Parish, which is one of the new San Jose Flight members, tight end. So this is going to be an awesome show. So let's strap in for the fun. All right. Yeah. So, great games, as I spoke of before, on April the 3rd and the 4th. I chose Denver, Baltimore, Louisiana, Vancouver, Florida, Arizona, Lone Star, LA, and St. Louis, Fort Worth, and Portland, and Houston to win those games. So, let's see how everything shook up. Maybe I got them all right. Maybe not.
That is not correct.
Now, those are pick'ems and not with the spread, right? Because they were rough with the spread this week.
Yeah, these are ones I picked.
Okay.
For my show last week.
Okay.
And sometimes I'm going to roll with the nose, if you know what I mean. So we'll see how it checks out. The Baltimore Vultures took on the Mexico City Aztecs, and the Aztecs won 26-24. I was wrong about this game. Baltimore had 299 yards passing, 27 yards rushing for 326 yards total. Their time of possession was 19 minutes and 39 seconds with 5 mistakes. Mexico City had 288 yards passing, 78 yards rushing with 366 yards total. They held the ball for 24 minutes and with 2 mistakes. So, Coco, what did you think about this game?
Ramos was sweating. And it's not just the numbers. So, I mean, in this game, you could really see that. I don't know if Ramos was trying new things that he had never tried before, but there was movement, like with Matt South, that he wasn't comfortable with. So, Baltimore definitely knew what they were doing, and that's, I mean, it's expressive with the score 26-24. These are two teams that do their work, know what they're getting into. They try to both, I try not to be as bland as possible with it, but it's exactly what it seems when you have a game that's 26-24. Granted, at the time of possession, was a little bit, 5 minutes. The one thing that Mexico City definitely has working for them is when they do use Ray out of their backfield as well. They are able to kind of tack on those minutes a little bit more. And that's one of the things I'm curious about, because you don't really get to see it while you're watching the game, is how Ray actually did in the long run. Let's see.
Gotcha.
Why not? 2 carries, but did they throw to him? No, Ramos knew if I'm gonna win, I'm just not gonna go to Bentley. But again, go ahead.
Bentley's getting ready to, be busy with the baby too. So, maybe they were just trying to give him a break,
But again, 4 wide receivers and, fullback and a halfback. There's so many options that Ramos has. That's the thing, even being as good as both of them is. It's hard to prepare when there's so much versatility there. And that's the thing. So.
Very, very, very true. Quarterback Matt Wilson was the player of the game with 31 completions out of 46 attempts, 288 yards, 1 touchdown, and a QBR of 73.5. The Queen City Corsairs took on the Lone Star Glory, and the Glory won the game 35-34. Another very close game. I was right about this one. Queen City had 159 yards passing, 154 yards rushing for 313 yards total. They held the ball for 22 minutes and 10 seconds with 1 mistake. The Glory at 274 yards passing, let's scoot this over a little bit, 164 yards rushing, 438 yards total. They held the ball for 21 minutes and 50 seconds with 4 mistakes. So, Queen City had only 1 mistake. Lone Star had 4 mistakes, but they still wound up winning the game. How does that work out?
Before I go into this, I apologize, Matt. I think I said Matt South. I'm bipolar. Sometimes I don't realize it when I say it. Things are going all over the place up there.
No, you're good.
And I mean, sometimes you feel bad for Queen City. I mean, they had such a great game up until it was like halfway through the third and all through the fourth. Halftime it came around and they were up by 10, but again, it seemed like they just controlled the ball, and LSG was having problems getting into the end zone from the red zone. So, you look at 21 versus 10 in the last half. That's what it was. Is LSG has got a new style of offense. It's something they're still adapting to. There's going to be growing pains. They're going to make mistakes. But again, there's going to get to a point, if they have a slow first half, it can switch and be a completely different second half. Same thing goes if they have an extremely explosive first half. They could slow down and have a much worse second half. And that's the thing, is when you're transferring in between styles of an offensive playbook. So, and that's what you see here.
Perfect. And player of the game was halfback McBride. She had 19 attempts with 159 yards, 1 touchdown, 52 reception yards, and 1 reception touchdown. You go, girl. All right. The Carolina Skyhawks took on the Los Angeles Vikings, and the Vikings won the game 17-13. I was right about this game as well. Carolina had 180 yards passing, 74 yards rushing, for 254 yards total. They held the ball for 20 minutes, 24 seconds with 2 mistakes. The Vikings had 237 yards passing, 179 yards rushing, for 416 total. They held the ball for 22 minutes, 32 seconds, with 3 mistakes. So, again, there was 3 mistakes for LA, only 2 turnovers for Carolina. But I think the passing game was the true test for this game, because Carolina was only held to 74 yards while LA had 179 yards. And I found it interesting that there was no player of the game. So, Mike, after your synopsis of this game, would you mind giving the player of the game, or who do you think should have got
it? Whoever took out Carolina's free safety should be player of the game. I'm trying to remember who it was.
I missed that one.
I'll give it to Tom, because when Tom helps or runs sims, he injures people all the time, and he's very happy to post it in general chat when people get hurt in his sims. And that was, 170 is not a lot. I'm actually surprised that this game hadn't gone further once I heard that Carolina's free safety got injured. Let's see. Because, the thing is, they have 2 free safeties, so that's one of the things. But still, a lot of their plays when Monty Wyatt went down, I think Chad Stinson comes up or it was Monty White, but they did have a generic player out there majority of the time, and usually the CPU is good at exposing that. So that's how well these two teams know each other. And it's such a weird comparison because when you look at the Las Vegas game versus LA at the beginning of the season, it was a shoot off. Like they just went crazy with each other. But then when you look at the two teams that kind of know their defensive style comparatively, which is where, it's, and Ray knows that playbook. She came from Carr. You just see within those, it's just completely different. It's defense versus offense versus offense in that other game. So, and I think that was a testament. It's just the two styles really know each other well. I'm just surprised that actually LA wasn't able to expose that injury more.
It's funny because when I did have Carolina, some of the players from Carolina on, they did say they were definitely looking forward to this game, and particularly because of Ray and Sully, being over in LA. So I thought that was it was a heck of a game to watch, though.
Yep, it definitely is.
So the Jacksonville Kings took on the Vancouver Legion, and Vancouver won 43-37. I was right about this game. Jacksonville had 356 yards passing with 24 yards rushing, 380 yards total. Their time of possession was 20 minutes and 1 second with 1 turnover. Vancouver had 457 yards passing, 238 yards rushing, 695 yards total. Their time of possession was 26 minutes, 36 seconds with 3 turnovers. Coco. 695, almost 700 yards in total offense.
So
and 3 turnovers. What was the secret? Tell me.
There was a point in the season where a lot of people were complaining about finesse backs and it wasn't going to work, and I was one of them. And then I think I took 3 days off from work, and I worked on the playbook and finding ways to get Redford. And sometimes in some games it just comes out. Jacksonville's first game versus us, they had a bad sim. Like it shouldn't have been that margin so high, and I think they knew that when they saw it. Going into this game, fully expected a shootout. Our defense we had to move a lot of guys around in the off season, so there's certain areas of the field where we're a little bit softer than we would like to be, and it definitely shows in a game like this. It's we kind of knew, hey, Jacksonville, good team, good defense, good offense. Take your shots. That's what's going to have to happen. So,
yeah, they are a good team. And like I said, you put up almost 700 yards on anybody, you're bound to win the game. And since you mentioned your halfback, Robert Redford was the player of the game with 24 attempts, 238 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 40 reception yards. Good job, y'all.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Good job.
The Florida Storm took on the San Diego Mavericks, and the Storm won the game 27-16. I was right about this game. The Storm had 297 yards passing with only 71 yards rushing with 368 yards total. Their time of possession was 23 minutes, 57 seconds with 1 mistake. The Mavericks had 257 yards passing, 69 yards rushing for 326 yards total. Their time of possession was 19 minutes and 30 seconds with 2 mistakes. So they were fairly close as far as offensive yardage is concerned. Looks like the Storm held the ball for a few minutes longer, but Mavericks had 2 turnovers. Also, there was no player for this game as well. I guess everything just kind of cut off right when they were getting ready, kind of glitched out. So, yeah. Coco, after your synopsis again, who do you think the player of the game will be?
Granted, he only had 3.5 yards per carry. But San Diego, one of their better, they're pretty decent on defense in the front. They still got a lot of developing to do with their defensive backs, but they're very good in their front. And the fact that 20 carries for 70 yards is nothing to laugh at when you have a team that does hold typically runners so well. I don't know what we had against them the prior week, but I think there was only a few explosive plays, but besides that, they held them in check. And being a rookie, I think the Bullet did pretty darn well, keeping them involved and keeping them in that game. Definitely wasn't Doyle.
It definitely wasn't Doyle. I mean, I probably would have gave it to Ron Cochran or
Ron gets it all the time. Or EJ.
Yeah,
I give it to EJ too. EJ doesn't get enough love.
True.
Over there in Florida.
So there you go. You're going to give it to EJ. Perfect.
Okay. Share it. Bullet EJ. You guys can have it together. Not Ron. And definitely not Doyle.
Fantastic. The Houston Hyenas took on the DC Dragons, and the Dragons won the game 17-12. I was wrong about this game. The Dragons had 194 yards passing, 79 yards rushing, 273 yards total. Their time of possession was 20 minutes and 22 seconds with only one mistake. The Hyenas had 333 yards passing, 64 yards rushing, 397 yards total. They held the ball for 22 minutes and 41 seconds, but 5 mistakes. And I think that those 5 mistakes was the dagger that killed the Hyenas, basically, in this game. What?
Man, was this an interesting game.
Yeah.
I don't know. Did you get a chance to catch this game at all? Because I was a later one.
Mm-hmm. I caught a bit of it.
Yeah, especially that fourth quarter. It's like, Nate Hall was on the call with Headie this game, and Nate Hall had some technical issues. And then when Cam sat down, basically, I think Cam flips his switch and tells All Pro Football, go nuts. And listen, DC's been doing it all season to people, and even games where there's a large margin of points, people don't realize from that scoreline how much DC has been in that fight the entire game, and that's, I give it to Destro and his staff. They've done an amazing job, and that's what it was they caused them to make errors. And did DC maybe catch a couple lucky breaks? I'm trying to remember. I think there might have been. Yes, there was, because Cam loves saying Kanye Rockefeller. And I think Kanye had a couple of he had like a punt, either a kick return for a touchdown, possibly in this game. I can check right here. Yeah, he did. He had 139 yards on kick returns this game. 92 of them coming on that touchdown. And that was the thing. They got a couple breaks, but that's what DC does. They make you make mistakes, and they just wait. If they're not going to be able to do it on offense, then they're going to wait for you to make your own mistakes, and they're going to try to capitalize off of it. And that's what happened.
Tell you what, when those progressions set in with those new guys over there, they're going to be dangerous. It's funny that you mentioned Kanye, because he did have that 139-yard kick return, 1 kick return touchdown, and he also had 2 interceptions and 6 tackles in this game. That's why he was the player of the game. Just doing work over there. Congratulations.
Yeah, where'd he come from? What team did he play for?
Let's see, Tulsa and Arizona, and I think he started off, I think he was in Chicago for a minute. And I can't remember the other one. But yeah, Tulsa, and Arizona. Stop.
But yeah, great job, Destro. I'm sorry, Damon.
Yeah, Destro and Mule Nash doing their thing over there.
They're going to be scary. You can tell by their offense. They're starting to learn as well, like how it works nowadays compared to when Destro used to have the team together. So,
exactly. So the London Knights took on the Fort Worth Toros, and the Toros won the game 37-24. I was right about this game. The Knights had 151 yards passing, only 12 yards rushing though, for 163 yards total. Their time of possession was 15 minutes and 57 seconds with 1 mistake. The Toros had 381 yards passing, 162 yards rushing, for 543 yards total. Their time of possession was 25 minutes and 59 seconds with 5 mistakes. So even though the Toros did have those 5 mistakes, they were able to come out clean with the game. They only held London to 12 yards rushing, and they held the ball longer to unfortunately make those 5 turnovers, but to also make good things happen so they could win the game. What are your thoughts?
I mean, here's the thing is, some numbers become a little misleading in the fact that, like, when we look at the Toros' time of possession, it says 25-59. And we think of them controlling the game. The thing is, my wife, Lauren, being a tight end, this was a game I made sure to take my iPad and plop on the table and just ignore the rest of our family, and Lauren and I would watch it. Because what happened was Dustin Zeck had 328 yards for kick return, which, yeah, that happens all the time. He had 2 touchdowns, and they were basically, it was, he had a kick return touchdown, then they forced a turnover. Is that what they did? Kick return touchdown? Yeah. And then
I think he had 2.
He did. They were basically right after each other, and you just sat there like, what the hell was that? And they were both pretty much 100 yards. Like, so, because Thicario, he knows how to put those balls in end zones, and so he had to run the whole gamut of the field. And that's what it was. Is they scored those 2 touchdowns so quickly. Toros just had the ball for an extra amount of time, because once they were scored, that scoring play takes 7 seconds. So you put up 14 points within a 14-second period. Toros are typically going to have the ball for a much longer majority of the time. But that was the thing. It was another thing where London had 12 yards rushing, and they've been getting better lately with the rushing game. But Toros no defense. They know defense. And the difference with their 2 tight end sets that differ from a lot of other teams is they have 3 wide receivers, much like somebody else in the league. And because if you use 2 tight ends and 2 wide receivers, you're really minimizing like what you can use out of your playbook. But if you have 2 tight ends and 3 wide receivers, you can use many different tight end sets. You can use those 3 wide receivers as well. You can open up things, not have the fullback. There's a lot of things you can do. And that's really why you see 381 passing yards. So they're able to stretch out the defense, let Williams get his room to run. And yeah, it's a tough team to face, and we need them to lose to get into the top 4. And it's a hard thing to root against my wife.
Oh, tell them how it is, huh? I need y'all to lose.
Yeah. Basically, that's what it is. That's what, hey, football with friends. We're going to see a lot of people booing each other and rooting against each other this week. It's going to be an interesting one.
Definitely. Stephen Hacker, wide receiver for the Toros, was the player of the game with 196 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 28 yards per catch. The Las Vegas Fury took on the St. Louis Gladiators, and the Fury won 40-27. I was wrong about this game. Las Vegas had 228 yards passing, 152 yards rushing, with 380 yards total. Their time of possession was 22 minutes and 20 seconds with 1 mistake. St. Louis had 385 yards passing, but only 82 yards rushing, 467 yards total. Their time of possession was 21 minutes and 20 seconds with 3 mistakes. So it looks like the 3 mistakes and St. Louis's rushing game not fully getting off the ground as they normally would was the catalyst in this game. Do you think so?
For the first time, I think in the season, you'd look at St. Louis's defense and you're like, wow, really? That's what happened. They gave up 152 yards on the ground, and they gave up 380 yards total, which I feel for them is a lot, because their offense did happen. They had 467 combined yards on offense. It was not something you typically see out of St. Louis. So this game really surprised me, because I thought if St. Louis had the chance to come out like that and put up 385 yards passing, then they'd have a pretty good shot at winning. But that's how Slyn is. Slyn is a 2-head monster, and you don't know what end he's going to bite you on. They have their rookie quarterback, Pierce, and it's been a season for them developing it. I think even Pierce jokes about his interceptions over the course of the season. But again, he's a growing rookie, and you're going to have some of these games coming down the stretch where these guys from the minors are developing, and they're going to have a good huge impact on teams looking for playoffs. And Las Vegas is still alive for the playoffs, which is, I did not see that coming at the beginning of the season. They've been great down the stretch. So, yeah.
Hey, the drama is real, man. You don't know who.
Yeah.
You don't know who's going to shine at what moment, you know?
Yeah.
So, but player of the game was Scott Johnson, halfback. Yes. And he had 28 reception yards, 157 yards total, 2 touchdowns, 13 reception yards. The Louisiana Revolution took on the Tulsa Desperados, and the Desperados won the game 29-21. I was wrong about this game. Louisiana had 254 yards passing, 151 yards rushing for 405 yards total. Their time possession was 20 minutes and 52 seconds with 3 mistakes. The Desperados had 335 yards passing, 74 yards rushing for 409 yards total. They held the ball for 22 minutes and 39 seconds with 3 mistakes. So what did you think about this game, Coco?
I was wrong about this game as well. We knew that somebody wasn't going to be there, and we were going to have Shiloh LaBeouf at quarterback. And but the thing was that it was still based off of the stats of the previous quarterback, and he did not have the best build, and it's been one of the problems I think that the Revolution have had this season coming down the stretch. Is come next season, it'll be a little bit different a story. I think they'll have a much more sound foundation, but if you look at how they're built over there, it definitely causes them trouble. And Tulsa just continues to just punch me every single time I don't look their way. It's funny because I do the minors with Berto and Jaden, and I know Jaden has I think he had some lessons with Ethan Kai from Houston over the off season, just like I worked with my buddy Art. And you see the potential that some of these defensive coordinators have. I know it's 405 yards, but still, Registry is the type of guy that can put up 255 yards on you if you're not lucky.
By himself.
Yeah, exactly. I was lucky, I think, because we faced them week 1, where it was kind of like, okay, well, nobody knows what's going to go out there. Let's just throw everything at Reggie. Whereas the seasons progressed, they've learned a little bit more. See, exactly. He had 6.9 yards per carry. So that just goes to show you a couple more plays that Reggie runs on, and this game is a completely different game. But again, good job to Jaden, and I think that's really what it was he kept them in check. Notice I talk about coaches a lot because a lot of people like to talk about the players. Sometimes I like to talk about the coaches. But again, Tulsa, man, you had, Heslep had 2 interceptions, and Shaw had 2 interceptions. They were they're a sound team. They're a team that everyone underestimates, and yeah.
And it comes back to bite you every time you do.
Yeah, a lot of teams. You never underestimate any team,
Mm-hmm.
So, but
any given sim day,
Exactly. That's right. We all have bad sims, and some teams just make it much worse.
There you go. The player of the game was JQ, quarterback for the Tulsa Desperados with 29 completions, 41 attempts, 335 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a quarterback rating of 89. Now, the Atlanta Swarm took on the Arizona Scorpions, and Atlanta won 37-29. I was wrong about this game. Atlanta had 230 yards passing, 146 yards rushing, 376 yards total. The time of possession was 24 minutes and 35 seconds with 2 mistakes. Arizona had 298 yards passing, 68 yards rushing, 366 yards total. Time of possession was 19 minutes and 25 seconds with 5 turnovers. The turnovers, the fact that they held DJ to only 68 yards, all of that was definitely, I think, deciding factor. And we only had the ball for 19 minutes, 25 seconds, even though we did make a kind of a push at the end when we got the safety from Mark Mello, and we had a chance. We just didn't have enough time to kind of go downfield and actually score. But it was a great game nonetheless. Just kind of sad that we lost it. But Atlanta did save their playoff hopes by winning this game. What'd you think?
Yeah, thanks. Thanks a lot. That's what I want to hear. Oh, you may play them in the playoffs.
Right.
Because not that I love playing more than Atlanta. Yeah. Listen, I think we had briefly just I had talked to you about it earlier in the week, and that's the thing when you play Mark and his staff is you know what they're capable of, and they're just sometimes they're going to do it any weekend. And Atlanta's had a lot of bad luck in terms of the injury bug on defense, on offense, multiple times over this season. So their record doesn't really reflect, of course, what they're capable of. They do. How many times was okay? So Dynasty, 2 interceptions, but his completion percentage was decent. I mean, he had a 73% completion percentage, and that's where another thing when we go back to 2 tight ends and 2 wide receivers is. Sometimes it's not. There's only a couple things in there really that can kill you with the long ball in those sets, but you will get consistency in certain 10, 15-yard gains if you hit them, and especially below in 5-yard gains. So they hit it well. The thing is I think here is Mark really took a roll of the dice, so to speak. Because we all know what the finesse back like Moses is capable of. I believe you guys have 2 linebackers. I don't think you have 3 this season. Let's see. Yeah, 2 linebackers. So what Mark did was he just he said, okay, I'll see your 2 linebackers. If you decide to run 3, put a generic out there. And see what happens, because BDG had the ball 39 times, 39 carries, and only 3.8 yards per carry, but 147 rushing yards, and he pulled off a run for 56 yards, with 3 rushing touchdowns, and that's what it was. He took a chance, and it paid off. Sometimes that'll work, sometimes that won't, but. I think he was really to keep those playoff hopes alive. Sometimes you really got to roll the dice and hope you come out on top and hope that, teams are trying to stop you in another way, like maybe out in the flats, because he only had 2 receptions this game, that sticks out. So I'm sure, maybe Headie was like, all right, try to just throw out there to BDG or your 2 tight ends and see what happens. And I think that's where it was. It wasn't so much of, what you guys did in terms of, your 300. I'm sorry you only had 300 yards passing, and Moses had 68 yards, but still 68 yards in this day and age is not. A lot of teams get like 7 or 15 yards sometimes, and then that's when you're like, oh, this was a bad one. Having 75 yards, it's going to happen sometimes, and that's why you throw 300 yards. It's because it knows, hey, you're gonna have to throw 300 yards to compensate for this run game. So you guys, offensively, it wasn't, your completion percentage went down, and I know you threw 4 interceptions, and you were sacked twice. You had some decent plays in there, and maybe more of offensively. You needed to creep a little bit more. But again, Mark took chances, and they paid off for him in this game. And if you face him again, I'm hoping for both your sakes. I think you're still assuming you're a record, you're still in the race, aren't you?
We will be if we win with Sioux Falls.
Exactly. So if you meet them again, maybe think about what chances are we going to take against them? Because I know when we play them sometimes, it's kind of like, go ahead, pick us off 4 times. We're going to see what we can do, because you're one of those teams we just don't know some days if we're going to beat or not. So,
yeah, I mean, they did the thing, so you can't take that away from them. And we lost at home too. So, but it happens. As long as we can go ahead and turn it around, we'll be good to go. But BDG was the player of the game with 39 attempts, 147 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 3.8 yards per carry.
Yep.
The London Knights took on the Sioux Falls Sparrows. And I'm sorry, not London. The Denver Nightwings, took on Sioux Falls Sparrows, and Denver won 50-24. I was right about this game. Sioux Falls had 238 yards passing, 134 yards rushing with 372 yards total. They held the ball for 19 minutes and 49 seconds with no mistakes. Denver at 274 yards passing, 259 yards rushing for 533 yards total. Their time of possession was 23 minutes and 26 seconds with, again, no mistakes. So what did you think about this game? I mean, a 50 burger?
This is a game I forgot about. I did pick Denver. What was the spread of this game? The spread of this game by Jax was 10.5.
I want to say Denver covered the spread by themselves, right?
Yeah. I mean, the thing was, I didn't know the playoff implications, what this meant for Denver. If I had really looked at it and someone said, if they win this game, they clinch a bye in the playoffs, then yeah, I'm sorry, Sioux Falls. And against the majority of teams, I would have said, you're going to get slaughtered. Because there's certain games this season where you know that Denver is slow rolling. Certain games this season, Mighty is slow rolling. And when those implications came out to play, and I also think that somebody was probably a little, was it Sioux Falls that they played in the playoffs last year and lost? Was it Denver versus Sioux Falls, or was it Denver versus Baltimore? I think it was Sioux Falls, wasn't it?
I think so, but we can look it up.
And that's the thing, is I think there was a little bit of a revenge game there while you look it up, because Denver had gotten an injury and they were very productive in the playoffs last year, and that was under the old settings. They were able to hang into that game where they had an injury. So if it was against Sioux Falls, this was a little bit of a spite game as well. They had a little thorn in their side from last year. Because I remember the beginning of the year, I said I was big on Denver because I knew watching that game last year and the fact that they almost won, having their top wide receiver come out, that they had a lot more in the tank than other people were giving them. And when the season started, people picked Sioux Falls as their favorites, or Baltimore, which granted Baltimore deserves respect for what they did. Sorry for the zip. And but as we've seen, when Denver wants to do something, they do something. So
yes, they do.
They wanted to prove a point, and they wanted to secure their spot. And this is what happens when they want to do that. And
I mean, that's it. That's what you do.
That's the way it is. Right now we're all playing each other, and we're just waiting to see, who really figures out Denver when they're at full steam, when they're not just playing games. So,
gotcha. Player of the game was Jared McChesney, halfback. 24 attempts, 257 yards, 2 touchdowns, 41 reception yards, and 1 reception touchdown. The Portland Fleet took on the Charleston Predators, and Portland won 23-13. I was right about this game. I'm thinking outside the box. I actually chose Portland to win. It was like, why would you do that? Because clearly I was right. But Portland had 136 yards passing, 203 yards rushing, and 339 yards total. They held the ball for 23 minutes and 50 seconds with 3 mistakes. Charleston had 156 yards passing, only 33 yards rushing, 189 yards total. Their time of possession was 20 minutes and 10 seconds with 1 mistake. So Portland definitely had a better running game. They were able to stifle Charleston's running game, Keith Swearingen's running game, and that's what happened, in my opinion. Even though Portland did have 3 turnovers, they were still able to capitalize and get that win.
So Swearinger went down I think in either the first or the second. He went down early. That's why he had 6 carries. Look at that Portland defense, Art. And I mean, Portland's defense has been good. It's been key all season. The thing holding them back, of course, has been it's been their offense. The thing, and their most developed player just happens to be Zeke, the love man. And when it comes to their wide receivers, there's still a lot of developing that they need to do. They're always covered. And Mount South has a hard time finding someone that's opened. And that's granted, he has pocket presence and he gets sacked a lot. But one of the reasons he also gets sacked a lot is there's just nobody open. He's always looking for somebody and he's always throwing to the ground. This game, 75% completion percentage. Only 24 attempts. It definitely was a run-heavy game that they attacked them with. Charleston is built to scare the crap out of you if you pass. Everyone can look at it, but their defense is really built for you to just not want to throw against them sometimes, or find ways to just get around throwing them. And I think that's what Portland did here. Was they just told themselves, okay, we're going to run the ball. If it succeeds, then we might be in for a good show, because 5.9 yards per carry, 67-yard long one. So granted, probably like 135 yards off of the 34 carries, so only one big run. But that's what it only takes with Zeke. They really rest on their defense to just to settle in. And I feel, you don't feel bad. It happens. It's part of the game. But Charleston has had some bad luck as well with injuries this season. And that's all I got to say about that.
Just all I got to say about that.
Yeah, exactly. And they're a very well-built team. Does a great job. He was on here a couple weeks ago, and you see his knowledge of the game. You see what he knows, and it's when you face him, it's not an easy thing. But again, when you got no run game, T.J. Drew is just good luck, especially against Portland's defense.
Noted. And I think the run was the key to their success. Ezekiel Love, running back for the Portland Fleet, was a player of the game with 35 attempts, 207 yards, 2 touchdowns, and averaged 5.9 yards per carry. So overall, I got 7 right, 5 wrong this week. Not too bad. I think I started off 4 and 8 or something crazy. So it's progressively getting better.
Yeah. I won my lock of the game, which was Atlanta.
What'd you say?
My lock of the week was Atlanta. My one game that was an absolute. The spread was 7.5 points. Come on now.
Stop.
Come on.
Yeah.
But I did win my lock of the week, which I was happy about.
Whatever. Well, let's see how right.
Vancouver, so don't take it personal.
Wait, listen. I chose you guys to win, though.
I chose, which was very surprising as well. But the spread was 3.5 this week, so I think that was the only reason why. If it was us by 7, Jackson, I would have taken Jacksonville 100%.
Gotcha. Now, we're getting ready to go over Week 12's games. Now, the graphic that will appear on the screen will be different from how we're going to actually be going over that list. I will be putting the game links in the descriptions so you can see that. And just the graphic that you'll see will have the stations, what is streaming on, and everything else. If you want to see what we're talking about, if you want to find podcasts, if you want to see other articles that we write, if you want to get team information, rosters, always visit www.simulationfl.net for more details, and you can even join our Discord from there. So, Coco, let's quickly go over this Week 12. All right, I'm going to let you go first. So, Houston taking on the London Knights in Queensway. Who do you have?
No spread. Houston.
Houston? Got it. I think I'm going to go Houston as well. And Queensway, too. Baltimore Vultures taking on DC Dragons at Lord Destro Production Stadium. Who do you have?
Lord Destro, Baltimore.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. Baltimore. See? Great minds think alike, right? Oh, this is a classic matchup of the Florida Storm taking on the Jacksonville Kings at Kings Lair.
Ooh, this has implications in many ways for both teams. I have to go with Mighty the way he's been playing lately.
This is the playoffs of old, man. These two more teams, they know each other very well.
Yep, Mighty.
Yeah, going with the Storm as well.
Sorry.
I know it's crazy, right? The Atlanta Swarm will be taking on the Louisiana Revolution at Stack Up Stadium, and I'm going to. I think Atlanta is going to wind up taking that win.
This is going to be. I'm actually going to go with Louisiana on this one because this is one of those games Atlanta should win, and something just weird happens and they wind up losing.
Oh, see, they'll be coming after you at this, just so you know. Let's see here. I have the Arizona Scorpions taking on the Sioux Falls Sparrows at Liberty Park, and of course, I'm going to go with my team. We need this win to stay in, so we need it.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. You guys you are capable fully of beating Sioux Falls. You have it. So I will go with Arizona.
All right. And the Charleston Predators will be taking on the Carolina Skyhawks at David A. Richardson Memorial Stadium. What do you got?
I actually find that Ranger runs pretty decently against heavy linebacker teams. So I will take Charleston just based off of that fact. Carr's good. But I think with Ranger, Charleston with Ranger back in this game.
Okay, gotcha. I agree with you. I think Charleston is going to be playing angry, and I think that they're going to come out and win this game as well. The Fort Worth Toros will be taking on the Lone Star Glory at Medal of Honor Field. That is going to be a great game to watch. Who do you have?
This is the problem in Week 12. These games are like tough. Cam has a crystal ball. Yeah,
I know.
With the consistency that Fort Worth has played with, I need them to lose. But I don't need them to lose, but I would like a chance at a bye. I could take a little CFL. But I'll have to go with Fort Worth. They're just consistent.
I think with the consistent factor, I will go with Fort Worth as well. Let's see. The St. Louis Gladiators will be taking on the Tulsa Desperados at Greenwood District Stadium. Who do you have?
This is a pick 'em to me. The way that they played, I'll go with Tulsa. Typically, I'd pick St. Louis, but I gotta stop doubting Tulsa in some of these games. They take on good defenses and still win. So yeah, Tulsa at home. I
totally agree. I think that Tulsa would definitely pull out this win as well. If JQ plays a game like he did last week, definitely. The Las Vegas Fury, we're taking on the Denver Nightwings at Richard L. Snowden Stadium. What do you have?
He secured a bye. Has he secured first place? Let's just check real quick.
I think so, but I'm not quite sure.
And I'll pull up the graphic. Denver is sitting at 10-1. So I think with a mighty win, I'll go with Las Vegas just based on the fact that he is gonna slow roll, I think, and try to. If it's 100%, he's already got that first spot. I think he'll hold something back, and I know Las Vegas has things in their arsenal to take him down. So I'll go with Las Vegas.
While they do have the arsenal to take them down, I think Denver is still going to come out with this win. Plus, we kind of need Denver to win this game too. That helps us out too.
Okay, that's a good reason to take them as well.
The Los Angeles Vikings will be taking on your Vancouver Legion at Canada Field. What do you have?
I don't always pick Vancouver, especially this early in the week. But I will say this: when we looked at the schedule, we figured 1-1. We thought that LA was definitely going to take one from us. So this one we are planning to take on the other side. So we want to even it out at 1-1. So Vancouver.
All right, I'm taking Vancouver as well. I think Los Angeles, had a little stroke of bad luck. Not to say that that's not going to continue, but Vancouver just been playing lights out. So I'm definitely going to go with Vancouver. Last game will be the San Diego Mavericks battling the Portland Fleet at the Shipyard. What do you have?
It's an interesting game because Hammer has taken over the San Diego's defense, and Art is pretty good friends with Portland, so they have a semi-similar style. That's why when we matched up, everyone was like, "Oh, Portland, it looks so much like ours." I'm like, "Yeah, because we work a lot together." So I will take Portland based on the fact that, their passing game though. It seems like they may have some things figured out in passing, so I'm going to take Portland based off of the last game that they hit 75%. They're going to need to pass it more, so we'll see what happens on that aspect. But the defense should lock San Diego down. If you're San Diego, take shots. Last game of the season, you don't have a win yet. Go crazy. Just go nuts. Start throwing the ball. Sling it. What do you got to lose? You got nothing to lose. So try everything. Anything you want.
I agree. Then San Diego's actually had some pretty good games when they were in it with some notable teams too. I think Portland is going to actually eke out this win because San Diego does have some progressions that need to go ahead and set in. Again, kind of like DC. I think that they will definitely be a dangerous contender once those progressions do set in. But yeah, that is going to be awesome. Now, let's see here. Did I say Baltimore and DC Dragons at Lower Destro Productions Stadium?
Yes, you did.
All right.
Yeah,
cool.
we both picked Baltimore.
Got it. Just making sure. All right, everybody. So that wraps up our Week 11 review and Week 12. And now for the 4th and Goal interviews. Stay tuned. All right, SFL Nation, welcome back to my 4th and Goal interview. My first guest is rookie class member Juice Parrish. He will be on the San Jose flight this season, and he's also going to be their tight end. So how you doing, Juice?
I'm doing good. I'm excited for the season to start soon. Get the ball rolling.
Definitely. It's going to be amazing, man. Y'all are going to have a great time.
Okay.
Yes. So tell us about yourself, Juice.
I live in Louisiana, but I'm a Cowboys fan though, and I work at a federal prison in Louisiana.
Okay.
And I like football, and I came across the league and just trying to get to know everybody and get to know all the teams and stuff, see where I might fit in once my player hopefully gets drafted one day. So just kind of hoping for the best.
Sounds good. Hold on 1 second. Let me see something. Okay, cool. So how did you find out about the SFL?
Actually, I was in a different league before, and there was some little things about it I didn't like, some of the ways they would run it and stuff like that. And then, so I wound up searching on Facebook for some other leagues to try out. And then I came across y'all, and then I seen that it's actually on like a TV channel and stuff, some of the games. And it looked fun with these made up teams and stuff like that. So I figured I'd try it out. And I like how you could get drafted to a team. If you like that team, you could stay with them like for your whole career and stuff like that. I kind of like how everything's set up so far.
Yeah, it is pretty good, man. I joined like season 12, and it's been one of the best things that I did, and we didn't have the minor leagues when we joined. We basically just had one game to kind of showcase our talent. And so I think now you guys got 8 to kind of progress your player and to make them stronger, better, faster, and things like that. And, I think y'all going to have a really good time.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, some of the coaches, they already said they're going to let me try out the scouting thing to learn some of that kind of stuff, just to be more involved and stuff like that. So I'm excited about that too.
Oh Oh yeah. So do you have the game and everything?
No, not yet. I plan on ordering, and I kind of been shopping around for it.
Yeah, I hear it's hard to come by. So, you can find it. Get 2 copies.
Okay.
But yeah, so did you say that you worked at a prison?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so what, are you like just an officer there? Are you like, what do you do there?
Just a officer.
Okay. I bet you it's got to be hard sometimes, huh?
They always got some crazy stuff. Yeah, they always got crazy stuff going on.
Yeah, I can imagine. Man. I can imagine. So what made you want to get into that field?
I was in the Army National Guard before, and I went to Afghanistan and stuff like that. And then when I came home, I started out working at a state prison, but then found out if I go federal, I could carry military time and stuff with me, and that it'd help me out over there. So I figured I'd just go that route.
Okay, gotcha. So tell me, have you ever played any sports?
I played football a little while in middle school and my first year of high school, but I really wasn't that into it. I'd rather just watch the game on TV.
What was your position?
Front tackle.
Oh,
like like on the offensive line.
Okay, so you was putting up some good blocks for people?
Sometimes, yeah.
Well, I imagine that you always getting hit, so that's probably why you. Nah, this ain't for me. So that's why we have a simulation.
Yeah.
So tell me, how have you've met the coaches from San Jose Flight and everything? Have you met the rest of your team yet? Are you guys in the locker rooms yet or not yet?
Yeah, we've been talking a little bit in the chat room, getting to know some of them.
Okay.
It seems like it'll be interesting.
Definitely. Do you plan on taking the advice of the coaches for your progression? Or are you going to try to do your own thing?
So far, I'm listening to what they advise and just kind of go with that.
Okay.
And see how my player looks after this season.
Okay, sounds good. Did you want to be a tight end, or was that kind of the position that was offered to you?
I would have rather like quarterback or running back or something, but they say it's really hard to get drafted like that and come across those positions.
Yeah, it is hard. Not impossible, but it is a little difficult. So, I mean, tight ends are good too. Tight ends or anybody on the defense is a good position to try to go out for. But there is other, like if you're not drafted as a TE, you can be drafted as other things as well. As long as you talk to the team. So yeah, it's not like you're gonna be out of a job if you don't. But then again, sometimes you have the SFLM stars, that didn't get drafted last season. So now they're gonna be even better this season in the minor leagues. So you're adding value to your player constantly, which is a good thing.
And whenever you build your player, do you get to carry all your stats, like your so everything you built up on your player? Do you get to carry it onto your pro team with you, or do you lose some of it?
You do, but unless that team that you're drafted to wanted to make some changes. So let's say we have a salary cap. I'm a GM of the Scorpions, so we have a salary cap, and if there's an animation that you have that is kind of putting us over, we may ask you to just drop it and then you can add it later on within the season.
Okay.
But it's not like, hey, we're just going to change your player all the way up. No, this is something that you paid for. This is something that you kind of crafted. So we want to make sure that we hold true to that.
Okay.
All right. And a couple more questions. Do you find yourself wanting to be involved in the league in any other aspect? Would you like to be on like a beat writer, or would you like to do stats? Would you have time for any of that kind of stuff? I know you wanted to do the scouting thing, which is good.
Yeah, right now I'm starting out with the scouting and see, because I work 5 days a week. So just to see how much time I have to actually do some of the other stuff. Okay.
Because being a scout is actually very valuable to teams. We're always looking for people to kind of help coaches out, kind of alleviate some of those hours that they spend on simming. if you have the scouts to kind of help, then that definitely can allow the coach to do more sins to hopefully come out with the right outcome for the games.
And what they say also, you could get involved on social media. How do you do that?
You just
make you a Twitter player and stuff, and like they have a Twitter page for the league and everything on there.
We do. We actually do have the Simulation Football League, at Simulation Football League, excuse me, or Simulation FL, I should say. But that will be, again, with your own team, the team that you're going to be drafted to. They'll tell you, hey, we want you to be our social media director, or if you express interest. So that means you'll be running the team's account. So that means I'm actually doing that as well. For the time being, but so you just try to post something either every day or definitely on game days. They want you to kind of, hype up the games, let people know where to go, things like that. When we get the players, the SFL schedules every week, you just post that out there, let everybody know what's going on, just basically promoting your team in the league as a whole. But yeah. Whatever you're interested in, just express that to the team that you're going to be on, and then that'll make you a lot more valuable to teams as well. Okay, I might give that a try. All right, sounds good. So one more question for you, because I know you got to go. I should say too, how do you handle the adversity and trash talk that people sometimes do playing sports? I enjoy it. Well, like in the last league I was in, that was one of the things they were real strict about stuff like that. And slip up and maybe say something that they thought would cross the line. So I learned to kind of just watch what all kind of words I'm using and stuff, and how not to be too mean or anything like that. But I handle it well, and I try to have fun and joke around with everybody as much as I can. So what are some of the things that you're looking for in the team that would actually draft you? And what will you bring to that team? I try to be real interactive with everybody, and I'm trying to kind of get to know the teams. I'd really like to go to either the Louisiana team or maybe one of the Texas teams like Lone Star or something. And then, but so far, I think my favorite uniforms is the Las Vegas team. I like their uniforms. Oh yeah, they're very noticeable. So what are you expecting from the team that drafts you? To try to get as much as I can, and I want to find a team that I enjoy to stay with, as long as I can, and that that kind of help build the team and get to know everybody, and try to help them maybe find players and stuff like that. So kind of like a family-oriented type team, where everybody gets along and has a good locker room and stuff like that. I'm sure you find that place. I mean, this community is wonderful, and it's a lot of good people here. So I'm definitely sure you'll find what you need. But thank you so much for taking time out with me, being on the show. I know you're getting ready to walk into work right now, so that means a lot. And of course, you are invited to come back on whenever you want to. Once you actually start playing for the SFLM, you want to come back and tell us about your experience there. Once you get drafted, tell us about your experience there. I would love to have you back on. All right, thank you. You're welcome. Before I let you go, though, I want to give you the last word. So that could be a shout out to somebody, that can be a song, or that can be a poem. Right now, the floor is yours. I'll give a shout out to my team, the San Jose Flight, and hope some of them check me out on here and kind of get to know me and everything. And I'm just happy to be a part of this league, and hope to get to know a lot of fun people and simulate a bunch of fun games and stuff like that. So thank you for having me. You are very welcome. And I'm looking forward to talking to you again sometime soon, all right? All right, thank you. You're welcome. Have a good one. All right, so we're back with my second part of my Fourth and Goal interview, which features Mr. Cory Mennor, Cory Chief Mennor. And he is from the Charleston Predators. He is their cornerback as well. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on here tonight.
You are very welcome. Very welcome. This is your first time on the show, too.
Yes, it is. Yes, ma'am.
Fantastic. Well, definitely a big thank you for coming out and for being on the show and supporting it and everything like that. And we're going to get to know a little bit about you, okay? So, good stuff.
Fire away.
So, what is your age, your hometown, some interesting facts about yourself, and your favorite NFL team? Please don't say Green Bay, but okay.
No, definitely not them. So,
Good job.
32 years old and live in Kemah, Texas.
Okay.
Just a little bit south of Houston. Originally from Western Pennsylvania. So, as you can see behind me, all the Steelers, black and gold.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, it's not going to be hard to tell who my favorite NFL team is. But hobby-wise, I mean, just spending time with the family. Outside of my day job, I'm a volunteer firefighter. Spend a lot of time doing that. Been doing it for about 15 years now. Currently the chaplain for the fire department I'm with, so plays a big part of my life doing that. I enjoy it immensely.
Wow, that's pretty noble of you. You said volunteer?
Yes.
Oh man. So how many incidents have you been on? Has it been a lot, or do they kind of space you out? Or
I mean, it comes and goes. I mean, it's just one of those, some days you have where you're getting hit, especially down here. We have a entertainment venue in our area. So, I mean, it'll hit you, but other times, wintertime, it's nice and quiet. You don't have a lot going on. This time of year, it's starting to warm up. People are starting to go back to the boardwalk, and they think margaritas are a great source of hydration. So we're getting a lot of heat-related calls. But, it's one of those things that, it's part of it, but it keeps me going.
hey, and that's a good thing, man. So Pennsylvania, all the way down to Texas. Bit of a culture shock,
Yes.
or not so much?
Oh, yeah, it was. I was disappointed because, I was told, hey, we're moving to Texas. I figured open land, out in the woods, out open field. I woke up the next day. I mean, granted, I was about 12 years old at the time, 13. But, woke up the next morning and there was I-45 right next to my window. I was like, okay, this is not what I signed up for. But, don't get me wrong. But this place is giving me more opportunities in life than up there could have. So, I got to be grateful for what I got going on down here.
Gotcha. That's a good trade-off.
Oh, absolutely.
So tell us, how did you find the league in the first place?
Well, some people may know this, but I got close ties to Mike St. Green on his family. So he told me about it, and I kind of pushed him off a little bit. I mean, I just don't have time. I was finishing school and everything. So finally, he broke me down, and at the beginning of season 15, I just finally decided to get involved, get active in it.
Okay, well, big ups to Mike St. Green for bringing in somebody. That's a good thing. And have you seen any of our games prior to that point, though?
After he told me about it, I watched a few games with him, and I could see the allure of it. But for me, at the time, I was like, I just got too much going on.
Right.
But finally, I was like, you know what? Let's get into this. Let's do something fun. Let's do something different.
That it is.
I haven't regretted it yet.
That it is. Now, you told me a funny story after, before you can tell me after your stats, but I do want you to share that with everybody because I'm not sure if everybody knows that story. But, so you mentioned that you started in season 15 and you've been with the Charleston Predators for both seasons 15 and 16, and you have gotten progressively better. You have, in your career, you have 73 tackles, you have 40 assists, 2 tackles for loss, 13 pass deflections, and 7 interceptions, and a total of 105 interception yards. So my question is, who helped you with your cornerback build? And are you the sole one doing the progressions, or is somebody helping you with that?
Well, with Charleston, it's a strong team effort. You got good guys on there like Johnny Bravo. He's been a cornerback in the league for a little bit longer than I have, so I just follow his guidance. Talk through whatever you think. What should the next step up be to make my player that much stronger, that much better? That way we can be successful in the next games.
Okay, gotcha. So did coach have any input? First of all, did you want to be a cornerback when you entered the league?
I've always been a defensive guy. When I was younger, I was always attracted to the offense. I always ended up being center because I was a short guy that couldn't run very fast. So, they had to put me in that position. But, I slowly progressed into doing defense and started to love defense. So when they offered a cornerback, I was say, hey, let's try something new. Let's do something different.
I was muted again. Okay. So you have an interesting story as to how you actually came into the league. Would you mind sharing that with us? Or at least
absolutely.
How you transitioned from your rookie season with Memphis to Predators.
All right. So, as I said at the beginning of season 15, finally signed up and got assigned to the minor league team. I want to say it was Memphis. And at the time, I guess, I think it was around the 4th week of the season, Charleston was needing another cornerback, and they approached me. And at that point, I was going to say, hey, let's do this. I at the time, I wasn't aware of how trying to find the best word to put it, how advanced my player was. I was still learning the progression part of it. But I finally got drafted or brought in, picked up by Charleston, and then I started to see some messages fly around. Kind of made me wonder, what did I do about, the people being upset about the bringing in somebody that's relatively unknown out of nowhere, hadn't done a game in his life, up into a full position. But the one thing I didn't know what I was kind of getting into at that point. But at the same time, one of the things I've seen in my mind, a lot of the things that some of the guys were looking forward to in the minors was that draft day, getting drafted, and having their name brought up. So I was like, I'm going to give this up for, be able to have a good start as a strong player and be able to provide more on the team than others. So, I found it being a good trade-off.
I agree. I totally agree with that because, a lot of people do sign up for that experience of hearing their name called, figuring out, the talks, oh my gosh, which team is really going to be able to pick me? You probably talk to 4 or 5 different teams and you just don't know where you're going to go. But then you hear your name called and it's like, okay, this is what the draft feels like.
Yeah, that excitement. Right.
And I don't think people understood how much, you decided not to go that route, which is, that's up to you. But I don't think people take that in consideration when they are mentioning such things. Because I know that you mentioned that you were on, or that you were mentioned on the Dave Axton show too.
Yeah, well, no, I know some people brought it up at one point, and I don't hold any grudges against them. I can understand their side of it. You know, you got some guys that have been trying to bump up for a while and get on teams, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, comes me. I totally get that, understand it. I got blessed and lucked out. Right place at the right time. That's all, you know, that's all it was.
Gotcha. So are you involved in any other aspect on the Predators? Like, do you help out with scouting? Do you help out with anything else?
I plan to start getting into that. That's one thing I've been talking with Alan with is, you know, just trying to get a better feel for every aspect of the SFL. Definitely don't want to take us in the wrong direction, but I mean, slowly I'm going to get there. As I mentioned earlier, I was, you know, just trying to finish up my degree and finish up school. That took a lot of time. So now that I'm done with all that freed up time, I'm going to start trying to be more part of the team, just try to offer more and provide more assistance, because it's in my mind, it's a all hands on deck type of experience to make this thing function and to make it very successful, to have a successful team.
Okay, so what about league-wise? Is there anything that you'd be interested in trying? You know, once you get your bearings, that you want to try, like beat writing or maybe broadcasting or doing stats or anything of that nature?
When time comes, we'll see what happens. Right now I'm just enjoying what I got going on right now. I mean, it's enjoyable. You know, you got good people on the team, good people in the locker room to chat with. Everybody's sociable. I mean, they got nothing bad to say, and we'll just see what happens.
Okay, that's respectable. So tell me, how do you handle the trash talk and adversity that sometimes comes with any game, playing any kind of sport, including, you know, esports and people, oh my God, you know, you Misty dropped the ball or your team didn't win or whatever. How do you handle that kind of stuff?
Funny thing is, the most trash talking I get is from my little brother, who's also on the Predators, Mennor. He's the one who always gives me crap about having butterfingers when I'm dropping passes or dropping interceptions and whatnot. So, but I just look at it as an opportunity to, you know, hey, just where can I get my guy to progress this next time? You know, where can we work on to make him a stronger player to be more successful in the future?
Okay. Speaking of which, describe the Charleston Predators locker room and what is Alan like as an owner?
So the locker room, great group of guys and gal. We got gal on the team. So they're all great. I've chatted with every one of them. Super great people. Always have a positive attitude for the most part, you know, except, you know, you get that loss and kind of bums you out. But you know what? Hey, you got to look forward to next week. And as an owner, Alan, he's great. He knows, he's got the experience. He knows what he's doing. And as I said, as I progress and start to try to take on a little bit more and help out more, I'm going to look to him for guidance because he knows what's going on. He's got the mindset that he can give me the proper guidance to be more of a contributor with the team.
Okay, fantastic. So is there something that you would like to see the league do differently in regards to anything? If it's the initiate, like when you first entered that process, or the SFLM, or in just in general?
Honestly, for me, the biggest thing I would like to see changed, or at least addressed or looked at, in my mind, is possibly with the injuries. On the APF aspect of it. You know, you got owners and other players, stats groups. You know, you spend hours and hours prepping, getting ready for that game. And, you know, you only have so many contract players. And then, perfect example, you know, this past game against Portland for us, Swearingen went down, and it reverted to a generic running back, which I got to say, I mean, all things considered, the generic wasn't horrible, but that wasn't Swearingen out on the field. Swearingen would have busted through lines, and I think it would have been a much different outcome had, you know, that not taken place.
Yeah,
or
I
at
think
least
this. Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm done. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I definitely agree with you on that, because we had a game where DJ went down, and, you know, it was one of those pivotal games that we wound up losing, but it could have been a different outcome if all of our team was healthy. And, you know, I understand where you're coming from, because people do pay their money. Now, I understand, too, that they're trying to make it as a realistic experience as possible. So when you're playing the game of football, you do stand a chance on getting hurt. However, this is a little different. You know, people are paying money to see their player on the field, not to get hurt in the first quarter, you know, then have to sit the rest of the time out, you know, watching their team either go down or, you know, possibly excel without you. So I understand that. I get that.
Yeah, and I agree with you. You know, having that real experience, you know, having the injuries, it does bring a sense of realism where, you know, you're going to lose a guy. It could happen in real, you know, in the NFL, player goes down. And that's where the thing, it gets kind of frustrating. You know, this game, it was both Swearingen and Macaro. They were down for the count and out. So,
yeah,
you know, we had to keep trucking on as best we could. And I just think, you know, just filling in with generic players, especially at key positions like running back, can be a little stressful and a little frustrating when you spend all that time making that playbook. And then it's just, it gets tossed in the trash, you know, within first 9-10 minutes of the game.
That's true. Unless it's a situation to where they can just upgrade all of the generic players to,
or something like that, you know, making the generic players more competitive.
Right.
Not so much, you know, if they can't take the injuries away, then, I mean, by all means, let's make the generic players more competitive.
That's right. Or at least, if not on the same level. They don't have
to be a gold level.
Right. Right.
Maybe up to a bronze level maximum or something. Something just gives them a little more edge.
Definitely. I can understand.
Generic.
And who knows? Maybe Cam will see this show and he'll be like, you know what? I'll definitely take that into consideration, because he is somebody that you can't go to, and if you have concerns like that, even talk to on a one-on-one level too. So he's really good for that.
Oh, absolutely. Time will tell. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, definitely. So what is a goal of yours that you would like to fulfill in 1 year's time in SFL and in real life?
Ooh. Well, obviously in the SFL, I won't even lie, I would like to see our Charleston Predators win a championship. That would be amazing.
Right.
And I'm hoping, you know, being able to be a contributor in the future, that'll help lead the way and get us that championship trophy. Personally, though, biggest thing right now I've been working on is I just earned a safety degree. I'm trying to get a job in the safety field. You know, right now I work in shipping and receiving, which, don't get me wrong, I'm blessed to be able to be doing that and take care of my family. But because I want to be that safety guy, you know, the guy that's sitting in the office yelling at guys for doing stuff they shouldn't be doing. You know, soaking up that AC all day. That's what I want to be doing.
Gotcha.
But you know, that's. But yeah, like I've told you, you know, I'm prepared for anything. You know, wherever I end up, it's a blessing either way.
Fantastic, man. Fantastic. And last question for you. How have you been holding up with this COVID situation? everybody's been stuck in the house, and wearing masks and trying to stay safe and haven't been able to see family and things like that. So how has COVID affected you? And will COVID prevent you from coming to the convention this season? Or are you planning on attending?
COVID really, for my daily life, other than just having to wear a mask and social distance a little bit when I'm in public, I mean, my life really hasn't changed too much, to be honest with you. And it's another one of those little blessings that I'm grateful for. It hasn't taken a toll on me or my family. I know it's got a hold of some of my family members, but luckily everything's fine. They've recovered beautifully. Knock on wood, I don't end up with it, because I think my work or my employer would not be too thrilled with that, with me being out of the loop. So in terms of the convention, it's definitely not going to hold me back. Luckily, I'm not too far off from where the convention is, so I have a good feeling of how things are in the area, and I feel like it's going to be a very safe event amongst everybody.
Okay. Well, sounds good, man. It's going to be a fun time. I'm looking forward to being there. I'm looking forward to meeting all the new fresh faces and seeing all my old friends and things like that. So it's going to be a wonderful experience. I went to the last one when we had it in Atlanta, and it was great. The first one was in Texas. They said that was a phenomenal time for this first time. I think second time was in Atlanta. They postponed it for last year, and now they're bringing it back. So fingers crossed that things are still, headed in the right direction as far as this COVID situation, so we can all just go out and have a good time, because it's been a while.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah. I think everybody everywhere has deserved a little bit of relax and break and enjoyment with everything that's been going on.
Definitely. Well, thank you, Cory, for being on the show. Really appreciate you for being here. I don't know if I asked you one more question. Did you ever play sports before or no?
Oh, absolutely. Football, baseball. Those were the first two big ones. Last time I really played sports, did men's league softball, the slow pitch softball. But since I've got a family now, priorities change. But I'm no regrets on it at all. None at all. So
is there one sport you like better than the other?
Yeah, it's tough. I love both baseball and football a lot. I mean, it's hard for me to choose one or the other. I do want to say baseball, though. That was a sport I really felt like I excelled at when I was younger. So I'd have to say baseball.
Okay, nothing wrong with that. What position were you playing in football?
In football?
Yeah.
Started out with center, and then eventually I moved into a linebacker.
Oh, that's why you was getting hit. That's the reason why.
Yeah.
With baseball, all you gotta do is make sure you don't get hit with that ball. Then you could.
Well, no, and baseball I was a catcher as well. So I mean, I was still taking. Either way, I was in the line of fire. It didn't matter. I wasn't safe.
Well, good, man. It was good getting to know you, Cory. You are invited to come back on anytime you want to. You want to have some new news you want to share, or anything. I'm here. And I also invite you to come back if you want to break down some of these games for the SFL coming up, or if you want to, break down week 12 or the playoffs, any games like that. I'd be happy to have you back on. Okay.
Well, I appreciate you having me, and it was a pleasure talking to you, getting to know you. And I might take you up on that one day soon. Sounds good. Now, before I let you go, I want to give you the last word. So that can be a song, that could be a poem, but that can be just a simple shout out. Right now, Cory, the floor is yours. Okay. I really don't have anything. Just be. I really ain't. You caught me off guard a little bit right there. So I really don't even have any good words to put out there. I mean,
or you can sing a song. Go ahead and sing your favorite song.
Oh Lord, I ain't singing. No, I can't do that. No, I'll save my karaoke for the convention when everybody after a few drinks. Then I'll do my singing. How about that?
Hey, y'all heard him. So you got to make him keep his word. All right, Cory. Thank you for being on. I'll see you later.
All right, we'll see you.
All right, bye. All right, SFL Nation, we are back with my third and final interview. I have with me Mr. Terrell Sutherland of the actually what position are you getting ready to play this time? Because I know you were cornerback at one time.
Well, this time around, I'm currently a fullback for the SFL Miners, specifically the Salt Lake City Rustlers. Go Rustlers, you already know.
Hey, that should be pretty good, man. That should be pretty good. But yeah, he was actually on Arizona for a short stint. And he had some things he had to go take care of, personal issues. Left, came back to the league, and so we're glad to have him back, man. So, but for those that don't know who Terrell Sutherland is, aka, should I say it?
Best to keep my wrist.
Got it. Okay.
let them have a little fun with research.
Okay, that works. All right, give us some information about yourself. So give us your age, your hometown, some interesting facts about yourself, and your favorite NFL team.
I am 17 years old. I'm about to get ready to graduate my local high school. My hometown would be Maine, technically. There, but was raised. And my favorite NFL team, I'm a Carolina Panthers fan. And please don't talk to me about that Darnold trade right there. I'm still processing it myself.
Man, he don't look. It's weird seeing him in that uniform for New England. Like what kind of? Okay, all right. We'll talk about that later. Do me a favor. Tell us what town are you? What city are you from again? Because you kind of cut out a little bit.
I'm from Memphis, Tennessee.
Okay.
Let me check Memphis, Tennessee.
All right, country boy. I love it. Hold on 1 second. Okay, so tell us, how did you find out about the league in the first place?
When I first found out about the league, I was in middle school, just looking at football highlights and stuff. Mm-hmm. And roughly after that, I became a wide receiver for the now defunct Cleveland Vipers.
Okay. Oh, so you've been around for a minute.
Yeah, I've been around for a minute, in and out.
Oh, cool. So ultimately, what made you come back?
Ultimately, you just can't escape the community. Like, it's such a great community to talk to, be around. And every time, you always end up missing the connections you have with the owners, with the players, even with the commissioners. I have personal talks with some of the league staff, and they're probably some of the coolest people I ever met on Discord.
Yeah, definitely. I have to agree with you on that, man, because this is probably one of the only communities that you can kind of be a part of and feel relatively safe, like nobody is really out to get you and stuff like that, or putting on false fronts. And it's like who you see is who you get, so I respect that, man. So so you with the Rustlers. So all right, so it should be interesting, man, to see you go, from being a member of the Cleveland Vipers, then actually being on I know you was on Arizona for a minute, then actually having to go back through that whole rookie process all over again and join the SFLM. So is this coming back as a rookie now much different from when you did it the first time?
Oh yeah, it's completely different. I would have loved, absolutely adored the stuff we have right now back a couple many seasons ago. Hey, even back in season 13, Lord knows what DeAndre Washington would have done if he had minor league.
Yeah, that's true. Now you gave it away, right?
I mean, that's technically not my real name either.
But yeah, like I said, you got like about 5. So, but
Yep. I'm a man of many names, as he can say.
No worries. No, who you have there? Is that your sister?
Yep, baby sister.
Hey, baby. Hey, sweetheart. How are you, honey? Hey, I see. Is that a phone you got there?
My earbuds.
Your earbuds? All right. Cutie pie. But yeah, so I imagine that it would definitely be different, because even when I was a rookie, we had that one game to showcase all of our talents. And if you didn't get it in, then that's what it is. And then we had to go through the whole chat ranking where you had to chat to get your rank up and all of that kind of stuff. So it's definitely different, but it's enjoyable. So how did you come to be on the Salt Lake City Rustlers? Did they approach you? Did you approach them? How did that conversation go?
Basically, I was just assigned to the Salt Lake City Rustlers. I just had them plan going in being a fullback for whatever team. So a tiny bit of me didn't want to play for Memphis.
Okay, gotcha. I mean, nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all. It should be a great experience. And then did you get drafted? I think that was the question I was going to ask you the first time.
My previous build was drafted in the first round.
Okay.
I believe roughly pick 10 of the first round, season 13.
Okay. And so at least you get to, not too many people can say they will experience this twice, So that's even a good thing. So you said that you're in school. You plan on going to college?
For sure going to college.
What for?
I got 3 things in mind. Currently, graphic design is my number 1, with my backups being marketing and journalism.
Say that part again. You kind of broke up.
My backups are marketing and journalism.
All right, sounds good. So hey, man, you can start right now. How about you go ahead and join a beat team? You can join make graphics for the team that you're gonna be on. All of that. You can go ahead and get your practice in right now.
Interesting fact. I'm actually a writer for Swamp Talk as of right now. I got my own little section called Sit Downs with T. I've been trying to get more consistent with dropping an article for it. But basically, it's just an interview series on like the farther end of the magazine.
Nice. Look at you. Already kind of started. Kudos, man. I'm proud of you. So, what will you do differently this season than you have in previous seasons? If there is something that you plan on doing different, cool. If you don't feel like you have to, then that's a good answer too.
Probably the biggest thing for me this go around is probably not getting too caught up in like a certain character like I did previous times, being more genuine to me as a person rather than an image someone else perceives of me in chat. Okay.
That's respectable, definitely. And sometimes you get caught up in the role play, things like that. But I'm looking forward to seeing what Terrell Sutherland is going to be like, So tell me, I know you said you wanted to do the journalism thing and, as an actual job, things like that. would you seriously be interested in helping the league with some things like that? Or you kind of just want to enjoy being a player for now?
I would definitely be down to help, every now and then, for sure.
Okay. Cool. What was do you remember the very first game that you watched with the SFL and how it made you feel?
Oh, Lord. This is about to be a huge throwback. I know the Louisville Wolfpack, I believe, were the home team. I forget who they played, but I remember thinking that game, I got to get in on this some way, somehow.
Bro, that was a while ago. Louisville Wolfpack? People look at the Wolves?
Yes. Wolves, Wolfpack. It was something of that nature.
Nice, man. So what are some of the positive aspects? What are some positive things that you learned from the league since you've been here?
Basically just to be more accepting of other people's opinions and working overall as being a better leader and person in general. Okay.
That's good, man. That's good. And I think that with that, you will also inspire other people. And people can understand why we, appreciate this community so much, because you can learn a lot. You can start off by just being a player and then expand to do other things that you never thought that you would be doing, like writing, like making highlights or broadcasting. People wait years just to try to be a broadcaster, go to school and all that, when you can just come here and just learn it, just to try it, kind of like a trial by fire. So it's pretty dope, man. So what are some personal goals that you have for your player? Are you going to work with your coach in progressing your players, or are you going to be doing all the progressing yourself?
I do plan on, listening to coaches and, of course, helping my build be the best they can to fit their scheme.
Okay.
And overall, just being an overall booster to the offense that I get drafted to.
Okay. And so what type of personality will you now bring to your drafting team? Because I'm going to put it in the air that you're going to get drafted. So the team that you're going to get drafted to, what kind of personality will you be bringing into their locker room? And what type of locker room are you looking for it to being a part of?
Well, I guess I can say I'm the competitive, but also kind of funny guy, basically, in the locker room. I'm the joker. But I will be the guy in the locker room to hype everyone up on game days, console everyone after a loss, those kind of things.
Okay. And so what are you looking for in the team that drafts you? What kind of locker room, what kind of coaching staff are you looking for or looking to be a part of?
The biggest thing for me when it comes to SFL team this go around is the synergy, how the players interact with each other, how they interact with the owner, how the owner treats the players, coaches. Basically, I'm looking for an organization that feels like, for lack of better words, a family, basically. I know that does sound corny, but it's all like that.
No, it doesn't, because out of the 150, this is gonna be the 151st show that I've had. Out of all of these shows that I've done, that is the one commonality that people are noticing about the camaraderie with people, and even about the community itself, is that it is like family. So for you to say that is not a corny thing at all. For some people, that have families, this is a great way for you to kind of have, build upon another one, another group of friends, people that you can look at as family too. But for some people, they don't have anybody that are in the league. So truly enough, we are kind of like a family to them, because they may have lost their loved ones and things like that. So, you're not wrong. You're not corny for saying that, because it means a lot to people for different reasons, So, but this is a really good conversation, man. I really Appreciate you having it with me. I'm looking forward to seeing your player out there, making some moves. And look at you over here. You playing man too. You over there playing man, girl. All right. So you're going to have a player next. Mm-hmm.
Who knows with this one?
Yeah. The sky is the limit. The sky is the limit, man. But man, I know you busy with the little one there. So I just want to thank you for being on the show and for stopping by. Whenever you want to, please come back and see me. We can break down some SFL games together because I'm sure you're going to be very opinionated about that.
Of course.
And anything else that you want to talk about, man, anything else you want to share. But I cannot let you go without giving you the last word. So that can be a song, that can be a poem, or that can be just a simple shout out. But right now, floor is yours.
Golly. I sure had a quote for this, but now I lost it.
Take your time. It's fine. I'm entertained by your little
Just
sister.
insert wherever Kendrick Lamar and get yeah, what she said. But seriously, shout out to Tommy Gunn, Utah, and my other teammates out in Salt Lake City. Shout out to Roz, Shlyn, and the whole organization. And the whole organization out in Salt Lake, man, for giving me a chance. And hopefully we can turn this shit up this season.
And you will. Looks like you got a fan right there. That's going to be your first fan right there. All right, man. Thank you so much for being on. I really appreciate you, man. And that's it, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I really appreciate it. Special shout out, special thanks goes out to Cory, Mennor, Juice Parish, and DeAndre Washington for being on the show. And especially special thanks goes out to Michael Percoco for taking time out of his busy schedule to break down these games with me, man. You're definitely invited to come back whenever you want to. You got any last words for our people?
It's coming to the playoffs, and there's probably a lot of coaches with mental health issues that could come up. I know I'm one of them, and it's definitely a time of year where it takes an effect on you. But I want you to, many of you know this, but there's a lot of guys in those locker rooms who appreciate what you do. You build a community for people who are looking to reach out and talk to one another. So when it gets really cloudy and hazy, especially this time of year from all the work, just remember that there's many people in this league, no matter how grim it looks sometimes, who appreciate everything that you're doing for them.
Well said. Well said. Guys, looking forward to bringing you another great podcast next week. Until then, y'all, stay safe, treat each other well. Michael and Striker out.